morning, mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and all my cousins out there around the world. It's time to plug in and get this train a chugging. Trump! Oh, look at that guy. Oh, hello. He's now in open dispute with U.S. health officials. He does not want, he just completely disagrees with them. To be in dispute with someone means to be in disagreement with them, to be openly arguing with them, or actually better, against them. You can say with because it takes two to tango, as they say, and so you're really arguing with them, but in truth you're arguing against them because you have differing viewpoints. As the virus rages, the virus is not angry, but it is spreading violently and out of control, and Trump is escalating long simmering tensions and appears to be striking out on his own. Now, he's escalating them, so he's making them go upwards. Yeah, they are increasing. And it's funny here, we've got a couple nice choices of words because, well, the writers are creative. To escalate, I think they may have used that because we know that Trump doesn't like stairs, and he also has trouble with ramps. When he most famously announced his candidacy for the presidency back in 2015, or whatever it was, he famously came down on the escalator in Trump Tower with his wife. The long simmering tensions, things are very tense, they're very tight, they're not chill and relaxed, yeah? And so they are long simmering. Now, they've been simmering for a long time. When you're cooking pasta, you put water in the pot and then you put the lid on the pot and you wait for it to boil. If you're not paying attention, it'll start to boil, a running boil, and it starts to boil over. That's why you need to turn the heat down and just let it simmer. And so it's still cooking, it's just not bubbling and going all frantic crazy like that. But it's still hot and it's still cooking. The tensions are still hot, but they're not boiling over just now. Here, he seems to be striking out on his own. On his own, by himself, without others, without the health officials who are experts. And so to strike out on your own means to finally become independent. You don't need mommy and daddy holding your hand. You just strike out on your own. Head west, young man. Go look for gold in California, or whatever it may be that you do when you become independent and you go out on your own. However, there's another little twist and a play on words here, because if you are familiar with baseball, the pitcher throws the ball and the batter tries to hit the ball. If he misses the ball, that's a strike. And if you miss it 3 times, 3 strikes and you're out. And so that's a strikeout, 2 strikeout. And so he is going out on his own and becoming independent. He doesn't need the assistance of anybody else. Or you could say that, yes, he's striking out where he keeps trying to hit the ball and he keeps missing. And so he's out, because it also looks like in November he may be out. Yeah, it's a nice little play on words here. I gotta give them credit for their creativity here. Well done, writers. I applaud you. Golf clap. He's striking out his own. He scorns science. And to scorn something, to treat something with scorn, to use it more commonly as a noun, but to use it here as a verb, to scorn something or scorn someone, it means to treat them with disrespect because you see them as beneath you, and especially stupid. And so yes, Trump treats science with disrespect because he thinks science is stupid, and he wants his scientists to do the same. Now, he's a politician. He gets paid to be stupid or applaud stupidity. However, scientists, their job is science, and they need to follow the facts. He does treat science with contempt, with disrespect. As a result, you may remember he had a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma recently, which was supposed to be 1 million tickets sold, and the stadium could only hold 19,000 people, but only 6,000 arrived, and they had an overflow stage outside which had 25 people, so they took it down, and it was a total flop. If you remember from the headlines some time ago, the largest city in Oklahoma is or has been inundated with cases in the wake of Trump's rally. We've had in the wake of quite a few times on the show. Like when a boat goes through water, you have a V-shaped wave that follows behind the boat. And so if something happens in the wake of something else. It happens after it and directly as a result, as a consequence of that first action which initiated and caused the wake. Cool. And what has happened in the wake of Trump's rally? Tulsa has been inundated. It has been inundated. Inundated is just a fancy word for flooded. Yeah, and so they have been flooded, and the ICUs, the intensive care units, are full. They are brimming, if not overflowing, with COVID cases. And yes, and he wants more rallies, prohibited from wearing a mask. And well, he's shooting himself in the foot because he's also saying that voting by mail is corrupt and it shouldn't be done, and yet he's getting all those people sick, and so therefore they're going to have to vote by mail. But yeah. Whew. U.S. hits 3 million cases. There's a nice milestone, a benchmark, as we've had in the headlines, a grim milestone. It's dark, it's depressing. 3 million cases as hospitals start to run out of capacity in the intensive care units. If you're running out of something, there is none left, or there will soon be none left. And so, because they're full up, because they are being inundated. Tear America apart, to tear things into pieces, much like we pick apart the headlines looking at different language and constructions, dependent prepositions, phrasal verbs, etc. He's going to literally just tear America apart, much like I just tore apart the CD envelope from yesterday's broadcast. That's a good thing for leaving props lying around. Tear, to rip, yeah, apart into pieces. Also, well, it's spelled the same but pronounced differently. That will cause many tears. People crying. By the U.S. stance on masks. Your stance, your posture, your position, you can be in a different position, and he's a little bit surprised by that because, masks make sense when dealing with a respiratory illness and airborne, highly contagious virus. Okay, we got a reduced passive and relative clause here. A teacher who was convicted of raping a 13-year-old student that she later married has died of cancer. A whole bunch of sadness in this headline. The whole point was it's a reduced passive and a reduced relative clause. A teacher who was convicted, blah, blah, blah. That's twisted. No winners in that story. All right, speaking of no winners, nuclear holocaust. All right, new images show activity at North Korean site are linked to the production of nuclear warheads. Super. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, let's just stick with the main point, which is the dependent preposition to be linked to something else. The U.S. Supreme Court is set to issue opinions on Trump's financial records, to issue an opinion, to publish an opinion, much like each issue of a newspaper or each issue of a magazine is because that edition has been issued, published, made public, and so they're going to make public their opinions, and they are set to, they are ready to. If you are set to do something, as I've done many times on the show, you've got people in the Olympics, racers, ready, set, go, and then they start running when the guy fires the gun. You don't want to jump the gun, though, because then that will disqualify you from the race. To jump the gun means to start early. Racing vocabulary. Moving on. Okie dokie. The court's contraception ruling spotlights Trump's end goal. Contraception, meaning against conception, condoms, birth control pills, etc. And so the court has ruled, not just issued an opinion, however, it issued a ruling, meaning it has made and published a decision, a formal decision about contraception. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on there that people that don't live in the United States probably don't understand and think is ridiculous because they have logical nationalized health care. And really, it covers birth control because your right to your body has nothing to do with the government and or your employer's religious affiliations. America's a weird place. But to spotlight Trump's end goal, to put something in the spotlight, because in the darkness and in the theater, the stage is dark, until they light up that one spotlight, which doesn't illuminate the whole stage, but just one thing. And so now it's highlighting, it's illuminating specifically Trump's end goal. What his end goal may be, I don't think he really cares about contraception anyway. However, he's trying to appeal to these social conservatives. And it's interesting because the Republicans are always about small government, small government, small government, yet they love to impose rules upon women's body and not allow them to have the freedom to make choices regarding their own biological and reproductive health. Just think, in less than a month, you could be here on the show with me, John Don, live in the studio, in the newsroom. Guest star! Spotlight something to highlight it, to illuminate it. Harry Potter news. J.K. Rowling, the author, is a bigot, and she has come out and spoken very publicly against transsexual individuals, saying that it's wrong and so on. And now the actors from the films are then pushing back against her and criticizing her. Yeah, well, watching somebody who we know, like, and respect say stupid things, it's painful and maddening. Mad meaning angry, not crazy. And well, if you add an en on the end of an adjective, that means to make more mad, to be maddening. Ooh, that's a good adjective. So many things in these news are maddening. After the Trudeau snub, because Trudeau snubbed Trump. And so what does Trump want from his summit, from his meeting? Who knows? But to snub somebody is basically to disrespect them, typically by ignoring them. Imagine you're standing around having a conversation with some of your friends, and somebody who you kind of know and or don't like comes and tries to join the conversation. They're like, hey guys, and you just like look at them, roll their eyes, don't say anything, and go right back into your conversation. That is to snub somebody in general. In this case, it's to not accept, to turn down, to decline or reject an invitation to a party or some sort of event. In this case, a summit, a big meeting with all the leaders. What is it, the G7, I believe? Yeah, your party? Don't think so. Okie dokie. Cruel purpose in purging foreign students. Cruel just means absolutely evil and mean without any sort of compassion or empathy. You just love inflicting pain and suffering upon other people. To purge something or someone is to get rid of them, often in a very abrupt and violent way. If you eat too much, then you have to go purge yourself. Nations and the governments have tried to purge their country of different minorities, in this case just foreign students. As we've seen before, sometimes they use a word one day and then it just keeps turning up in successive days. Well, no, we get the same exact phrase here, or phrasal verb here, in two successive headlines. And to rail against something. Rail, much like a handrail that you hold on to when you walk down the stairs. I'm not sure of the etymology here, but to rail against something, it means to very vocally and publicly criticize in a very angry sort of way. So yes, they got some mixed messaging as usual. They don't know their asshole from their elbow. The shockocracy, the shocking hypocrisy, shockocracy? I don't know. Enough of that. Moving on. Why we can't stop waving at the end of video calls. I've not read the article. I don't know. We wave at one another to say hello and goodbye, even though it's on a video call. You still have visual contact, and so I don't know. It still makes sense to me. Now, just waving at the end of a phone call, that would be ridiculous because there's no visual aspect to it. I don't know. I'm just a simple American English teacher. I don't really understand what goes on in this crazy complicated world. That can kill you. Don't drink bleach. Don't drink disinfectants. That's dumb and ridiculous. Yeah, it was a comparatively a fairly small news day, but hey, you know, sometimes that's the way it works. A lot of those headlines out there are just recurring day after day, and so I don't want to whip a dead horse and keep rehashing the same exact headlines. Same words, sure, as long as it's under a different or in a different context. And as you know, I don't make the news, I don't even write the news. I just explain the headlines, pick them apart so that way you can understand them better. And so thank you everybody out there for the bits, for the comments, the questions, the likes, the subscribes on the YouTube. Click the bell icon so you don't miss a thing. For English Otherwise, this was Breaking Down the News. Most people know me as Mr. James, but if you made it this far, you can call me Cameron. Much love, have a beautiful day, and if not sooner, 8 a.m. tomorrow. As always, bye-bye. Have a beautiful day. Stop the